Welcome to the Regulating AI podcast with Sanjay Puri. AI is changing the world faster than rules can keep up. So how do we protect people without killing progress? Each week, Sanjay brings you inside conversations with global leaders, policymakers, and innovators who are wrestling with that exact question. So if you're curious about the future of technology and how it's governed, you're in the right place.
I want to introduce Sanjay. Sanjay is a very interesting guest. Sanjay is the founder of the podcast Regulating AI, one of the most leading podcasts now currently in the world about how AI regulation and how policies are actually formed, with a lot of guests basically all over the world. I just heard also recently he interviewed 2 senators of the United States to also talk about the US policies. Could I please announce Sanjay?
Thank you. Please. Under the pictures.
Yes,
There are no pictures.
there they
Okay,
are.
now.
So we go. You are there. I'm here.
Okay. Okay. So good afternoon. Welcome to the Funding the Future, How to Invest in Trustworthy AI session this afternoon. And the framing for our session is pretty clear, that capital shapes behavior. And there's no question that AI is scaling very, very rapidly. And so is accountability. How do we make sure that there is transparency, there is accountability in the funding that happens? And for that, we have 2 excellent speakers with us today. We have Vanessa Butera from the EIB, the European Investment Bank, and we also have Catalina Muller from ALLAI.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And the format for us this afternoon is basically that you get to hear from them. I'll ask them to introduce themselves and answer one single question, and then we get into some more detailed discussions that hopefully can have value for you. And at the end, we'll try to see if we can take some questions from all of you. So, Vanessa, we'll start with you. That when we talk about the focus of funding mechanisms, what should we have in order to make sure that we can accelerate trustworthy AI, and also to make sure we're not throwing good money after bad?
Of course. So good afternoon, all. I think this is the challenge for many of us today in the race of AI. We tend to finance what we call a bit sometimes marketing AI, but what we should finance first is the AI trustworthiness. Why? Because this is our credibility. This is how we can shape a long-term AI that will be sustainable. And the best way to invest is to invest in platforms in AI where we can trust the data, where we can trust the way we use this data, and also the traceability. So the model will probably change over the future, because we will, like the green bonds, we saw that the trustability of the data behind the green bonds and ESGs has a value, and that will probably be one of the key challenge for the future.
Thank you. How about you, Catalina?
Thank you very much. Good to see you all. I think that when you want to invest in AI, you want your return on investment. And I see, let's say, there is quite some challenges in the current climate for getting a proper return on your investment. And the first is what I see, overpromise versus under-delivery. I mean, endless Sora videos was not what was promised to us. We were promised a solution to poverty and to hunger, and we were promised all kinds of discoveries. But in fact, that is where the money now flows. All the money goes into what I say a bit the overhyped AI that we now have. So the first thing that I would do is look at what kind of systems can really bring value in those in those challenges, in those real challenges. The second thing that I think impacts your bottom line is liability. If you want to invest in a system that poses an extreme risk of fines, for example, because you don't comply with regulation, or a risk of damages claims or copyright claims, that will hit your bottom line negatively if you invest in those. So you need to look at compliance really from the get-go. And the third thing, I think, is trust. Nothing drives your money away faster than public trust. And if the technology is not safe, if it doesn't deliver on its promise, if it's harmful even, then trust goes out the door immediately. So those are the three elements that I wanted to flag for a focus on investment. And I echo what you said, Vanessa, that the focus should be on things that are good for society, on AI that is good for our children, for our families, and for the society we want to live in.
Well, that's very helpful. Vanessa, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in this audience and at this conference, as you can see. So when an AI project approaches the EIB, what are the minimum thresholds of trustworthiness that they need to pass through? What are some deal breakers, or how do you de-risk some of them for some of these folks who are here?
So before jumping into the deal breakers, I really would like to mention that the European Investment Bank is very active to finance what we call the initiative, the EU initiative TechEU. So all the European investors can contact EIB. There is a one-stop shop on the website where you can apply for a cheap funding. And we do provide also venture debt to really support the tech in Europe to really shape the future key players that we want to invest in for Europe. Of course, we are looking at the projects from different angles. First is, of course, the type of eligibility that the clients are building in, but we are also looking at the value behind the company. And one of the key value, of course, is all these future players that will invest into ways to build, I would say, European data platform with the same language, how to assess bias and how to secure that what is built is taken into consideration these areas. All the sandboxes that we could build and rely on each other company to make sure that we do not reinvent the wheel in different countries, but we really try to join forces. That will be clearly one of the key value added. But again, it's not only that. I want to insist, we are much broader, but this is really where the focus is given. We want to develop an ethical or responsible AI, and I think this is part of the value in Europe that makes us very different from the rest of the world.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the investors here will be glad to know the EIB is investing in some of these companies. So please reach out to the EIB. Catalina, what is one clause in a term sheet? Now let's go to the investor side. She talked about the company side. What should be one clause that a term sheet should have from a trustworthy AI standpoint, from an investor standpoint?
I would say AI Act compliance. If you want to invest in European companies, they would have to be compliant. And I know from experience that the requirements for compliance start at the very, very beginning of your development process. It's not something that you can do at the end, just a checkbox, are we compliant? No, you start with your data, you start with the selection of your training data, the selection of your model, the building of your system, how transparent is it, what kind of risk does it pose, am I bordering a prohibited system? So I would say AI Act compliance taken into consideration from the get-go would be one of the things that I would certainly demand.
So AI action plan from that standpoint. Vanessa, coming back to our investors, sorry, please.
Just to rebound on that, for the first time in EU, we have a European AI Act. It's not a national regulation, it's an EU regulation, and for once, if I may say so, I think it's a great opportunity for all European countries to speak the same language and comply with the same regulation. And that will also help the future model to be sustainable and trustable.
So I think that's a great point for our investors too. Vanessa, from a instrument standpoint, what instruments, financial instruments, would you preferably lean towards, whether it's debt, venture funding, et cetera, to fund Trustworthy AI? When I say you, the EIB, if you were to tell that to our audience.
Sure. Of course, for this type of projects, clients are not looking for a long-term loan, right? Usually it's more for equity participation, and we have the European Investment Fund that is very active in that field. We also do provide venture debt, as I mentioned. There are also grants, because again, EU is a big family, and the European Commission is very active to support that. And this is really the type of area where we should be much more active in the future. Then we also need to look at, and when I say we, is also with the European Commission, at instruments to have incentives for these companies that are investing in sustainable AI. This is maybe an area where we need a bit more I would say proactiveness. This will come, but we saw with the green bonds, it was the case that at the beginning some companies benefited from these incentives, and this should be the future as well.
Can I add
please,
something?
yeah.
Yes, I just want to stress also that I just told you that compliance, and particularly AI compliance, is important. But I also want to say, don't let it chase you away. I know there's many stories out there that it is an impossible regulation, it is way too difficult, it regulates everything away. This is not true. If you look at it properly, if you look at it carefully, it's almost like a blueprint of how to build a good AI system that can be sustainable, that can be profitable, that is not harmful, that will actually win over the market. So it's not a, I hate the phrase regulation stifles innovation. It doesn't. It helps you build, it can be a stepping stone for good AI products.
I think this is very good to indeed emphasize, because I also develop AI for the EIB, and we also have internal use cases that we develop for our own organization. And like any other company, we have to be compliant with the AI Act. Initially, we were wondering how we would approach that. But believe me or not, it's really a guide. It really provides the right foundations for a proper governance, for the right accountability, for the right monitoring as well, because anything we build within an organization will need to be maintained over time. And when we see the speed, the impact of this AI, and now we all know a lot around Gen AI, agentic AI, and so on and so forth. The more agents you build, of course it's fantastic at the beginning, but then you need to maintain. And then if you do not know what you use as a data, good luck, because then it's really garbage in, garbage out. And then this is what you said. You put at stake also your company in terms of reputation. So we will also see a shift in terms of roles and responsibilities in the future, because there is always this fear about AI will replace people. I really don't believe. I think that roles of people will change, that's for sure. But also the dynamic in the future in the company, yes, it will change. So HR also has a key role to play, in my view, in the future around this thematic. It's not only a technological journey.
Yeah. Catalina brought up a pretty important point just for our audience, and this is just to both of you. Can early stage startup companies also apply to the EIB? And it's not a big bureaucratic process, because such startups have a big worry that, hey, I have to build my business. I can't spend all my time just chasing bureaucracy. So any thoughts on that?
I start?
Yeah.
So at EIB, we took the commitment to finalize a deal within 6 months. I know that for startups, sometimes this is already too long, but it shows really the importance that we want to give a quick reply. The aim is not to be bureaucratic or admin, but we also have to make sure that we invest at the right place according to the eligibility criteria. But the team is extremely reactive. And again, one-stop shop. There is everything on the website. There is an eligibility checker as well that will facilitate and guide the clients to know what they can apply for. So I really invite you all to try and test it.
And if I may add one, there's another very, I think, interesting funding mechanism that is available. It's called EIC, European Innovation Council. And there you have particularly aimed at startups, really early phase products funding. And this is not an investment or a loan. It's actually funding from the European Commission. So you could have a look at that as well. EIC.
Well, I think that's great news for our startup 6 months, because I can tell you that venture capitalists also generally do not act sometimes earlier than that. So I think that's great news. 6 months, one-stop shop website. So that's fantastic. Catalina, from an investor standpoint, there are some investors also in our audience. What global norms most need translation into concrete due diligence investor lists from your standpoint?
For Europe, it should definitely be the AI Act, like I already said, but you should also know that it is, the AI Act is strongly connected to the AI Convention by the Council of Europe. This is a human rights protection convention for World with AI. And those two are connected because basically, this is a bit technical, legal technicality. Basically, the convention, the AI Convention of the Council of Europe, is implemented in the European member states through the AI Act, which also means that you have to apply the AI Act and its obligations in light of the convention. So both these instruments, and the convention is actually much broader than the AI Act. It has, I don't know how many signatories already outside Europe as well, including Canada, for example, and Japan, for example. So those two instruments are, in my opinion, the main instruments to take into account.
Maybe we can take some questions from the audience too. I've been pushing away, so if anybody in the audience has some questions, we see a hand up there, please. We see a hand back there.
Hi, thank you for your talk. My question is actually about collaboration between the European Bank and also private investors. For example, strategically, can you share a little bit about what it means for private investors and venture capitalists who see that a startup is actually funded by you? And also if you have any interactions or collaborate to sort of share strategy with the private sector so that when they are thinking about investing and they see that you are involved, that helps their decision making.
Vanessa?
Sure. So first of all the deals we are financing are available on our website because we have this transparency policy where we disclose absolutely all the financing we do. We also work very closely with all national authorities to really develop partnership, public and private, and try to join forces because they also have sometimes national plans. We have also opportunities to meet directly with some key strategic actors in Europe. And of course, then beyond that, we also work closely with all the, let's say, big EU players, and we try to also use their network to then reach out the other companies that would like to scale up.
Another question? If you can just keep it to the question, introduce yourself.
Hi, Ansgar Kuhne, Global AI Ethics and Regulatory Leader at EY. Just in the panel before this, we heard one of the speakers refer to the mantra of fail fast as a mantra for innovators. What would it take? What kind of structures can we put in place so that this mantra can be amended to become fail fast but fail safely?
I would. We are working at this moment on a very large project where we are helping national supervisors establish regulatory sandboxes. These are mandatory under the AI Act, so each supervisor in each country, once appointed, has to establish a regulatory sandbox. And there the aim is to have promising AI systems be assessed and tested under the umbrella of a supervisor and within the boundaries of the law to see, okay, if we fail, can we mitigate? How can we address? So maybe the regulatory sandboxes, if you want, we can speak about that after this panel. The regulatory sandbox is an interesting approach. There's going to be at least one in every member state, and the project is called EUSAIR, E-U-S-A-I-R. You can see it online.
Thank you. Another question? Oh, she...
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Noah. I was wondering, as I am more on the infrastructural side of AI and the safe and ethical development of AI, is there a appetite as well from your departments to invest on the proper infrastructure, specifically in EU, speaking about data centers and that type of infrastructure?
Absolutely. And this is really key because it's also linked to the topic of sovereignty, right?
Absolutely.
Today, we are all sometimes a bit dependent, I would say it like that, from the big player, from the US players. But this is the transition we need to build, and this is the future. So definitely we finance that quite heavily. And we also try to diversify our own internal IT landscape as well.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
If I can add to that, you also need to make sure that in a more practical sense, what kind of infrastructure do you offer? What kind of access do you offer to your infrastructure? Is your infrastructure only focused on the very large foundational models, for example, or can it also handle other things? So, and another thing is interoperability,
Absolutely.
which is also very, very important. We see a lot of fragmentation throughout Europe, and all kinds of infrastructure, so interoperability is also very important.
Well, we have very little time left, but I think we covered quite a bit of ground. I think you got some pretty good insights. The European Investment Bank is a great platform, 6 months, but also I think what Catalina pointed out was the EU AI Act is a great platform for incorporating a lot of these things. So I would really request all of you to give a big round of applause to Vanessa and Catalina for their great comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Regulating AI podcast with Sanjay Puri. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought. Share it with someone curious about the future of AI, and join us next time for more stories and insights from the leaders shaping what's ahead. Right here on the Regulating AI podcast.